what I particularly like about her is the style with which she delivers her sessions, right? So you might have attended some CV classes in the past, and at the end of it, everything you have learned is like basic things that you know already. But sessions with Chika are unique because she brings like a unique and fresh insight into the CV writing and cover letter building. When I sat in Chika's class for the first time, even if I had been in the human capital development space for a while, I sat in a class for the first time and I watched her bring the whole concept of cover letter writing with a fresh perspective. And it was really exciting. And that's why I decided that, I need to put this class together and invite Chika to speak. Issues with her connection. I know she was here before, but she left, Nigerian network and everything. So let us just wait for her to come back on the call and we can kick it off from there. Thank you so much for your patience. We're starting.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Chika Nzekwe, and I'll be your facilitator for today. Please, if you can hear me, indicate, and if you stop hearing me, also indicate. I'll be looking at the chat box for your messages. Okay, so you can hear. Fantastic. Okay.
I think her network has kicked her out again. Okay, Chika, are you there?
Yes, I am now. My sincere apologies. My network is giving me a run for my money. Okay, but I've switched over to another one. Hopefully this one doesn't disappoint. Okay. So back to what I was saying. Off the top of my head, when I ask people, what is a CV? Let me ask you, everyone in this room, all four of us, or the remaining three of us, if I were to ask you what is a CV, what would your response be?
So a CV is a document you use to sell yourself to your prospective employer. It gives them an idea of what it is you've done before you even get to meet them.
Amazing. So for that definition captures it succinctly. It's the keywords there: sell yourself, give them an idea of what you've done previously, and then also pushes the prospect of you joining their team. Now, usually one of the things I tell people is the CV is your introduction. It's like your first foot in the door when you're looking to get a job. And so because today we'll be talking about CV and cover letter, I'll be taking CV first before we move to the cover letter, but they both work hand in hand. Now, one of the best ways to craft your perfect CV, you would get lots of templates. I mean, if you do a Google search right now on the topic CV or how to get a perfect one, you get lots of templates on how to go about it. But the actual truth is your CV is what you make of it. I once met someone who in his CV, I think he was applying for a data analyst role in one of the big companies. And in his CV, the details he shared was basically how he failed at the job based because he didn't have enough data to back up his job. And that spurred him into learning the importance of data and how data is represented and the impact of it on his business. Now he put all of that. That was the only experience he's ever had. He put all of that in his CV and then he sent it. And guess what? For all the jobs he sent that CV to, he got invitations for interview. He may not have gotten all the offers, but he got interviews. Now, what does that tell you? Typically, that's not the typical CV. The typical CV will tell you things about the categories that you're supposed to have, like, oh, you're supposed to have the headline, which is your name, and maybe the role that you occupy or the role you're aspiring to, a short summary of yourself, your skills, the university you went to, and all of that. But here is what that singular experience with that person taught me. That, to be honest, your CV is what you make of it. Your CV is what you craft of it. Half the time, it's not usually the things that your employer might find endearing might not be the things that you solely invest in making it look aesthetically pleasing and the likes. Now, this is not to say that you shouldn't make it look good on the first contact, but more importantly, I like to think of one of the best ways to craft the best CV is how you represent the pieces of information on the document itself. Now that we're talking about, I'll talk about the content and then the looks. The content, when you're presenting things on your CV, how do you present them? Do you use active or passive language? Do you back up what you're doing with data to show that you keep record of your milestones as you go in every single place that you work? Or do you just put your job description on the CV? Now, remember the definition that we used earlier was basically to help us understand what the CV is supposed to do. Now, with the working understanding of that, it would guide you in crafting a great one. Remember that one of the keywords is to sell. Now, if you're looking to sell yourself, what that means is you need to pull out all the stops when crafting your CV, because you are doing an introduction to people that you do not know. And so you don't want to come across as mediocre. One of the things that you want to come across as the best candidates that they have ever met. And that's because you're not the only person that will be applying for that role. There are so many people, there's an ocean of people applying for that role. And so you want to be able to give yourself a fighting chance with that document. Hence the importance of crafting it in the best ways that you can possibly do so. Now, how do you do this? The first thing is use active language. One of the things that I encourage people, especially with crafting their CVs, is when you want to document the things that you've done at your previous place, highlight it as things that you are actively involved in, because you want to be seen as a result-oriented person and not just a process-oriented person. Why processes are important? People are a lot more interested employers are a lot more interested in people that are results driven, because while it is important for you to go through the entire process, what does it lead to? What's the end result? That's what people want to know. And so take, for example, if you're a social media manager or a digital marketer, as at the time you got into the organization, did you take on any initiatives as you got there? What did you notice when you got there? What are the not loopholes per se, but what are the things you noticed that you wanted to work on? So I'll use myself as an example. The current job position I'm occupying, when I got there, I think one of the things that I told myself I wanted to actively do is take on an initiative that would distinguish me, something that people can use in judging as a metric to say, okay, how has this girl impacted the service? And they can be able to point to that one project to say, okay, this is what she has done. So the moment I identified that, of course, I still handled my job description. I helped with the things that I was told to do. But beyond that, I wanted something that would be a distinguishing factor for me. Because again, as a person, one of the things I strive towards is excellence. And so once I identified that, I noticed that the initiative I took on did exist in the company. So I did an analysis. What are the things I want to do moving forward? For people who write essays, they'll call it the STAR approach. You look at the situation, you list out what the tasks will be, you then look at what actions you will take and the results it will lead you to. Now, if you use the STAR approach in highlighting your job experiences or the milestones you hit on your CV, it tells a story to your employer. It lets them know that beyond just being a results-driven person, you acknowledge what exists and then you build upon it to get the results that you want to get, right? So that's one of the things. And so in highlighting these details, ensure that you use active language, show that, because what it does is this, it shows that you're actively involved. Now, here's an example of you using active language. You can simply highlight, oh, I headlined so and so. I led a team of so and so. Now, in the case whereby you did not actually do these things, you should not lie, because that's another loophole that once is found, people can then begin to doubt every single thing that you have done. And that's not what you want for yourself. So if you have not done, or you've not done something that you believe is remarkable enough to be recorded in your CV, I promise you that if you do like some bit of introspection, you will find things. Even if you did not lead an initiative, if you're someone who deals with numbers and you realize that the way you handled a certain task made it easier for your workmates or made it easier for the company you're working for to handle certain things, then I promise it is worthy of recording. And so what does this tell you? That whenever you're taking on job roles, it's very important that you're accountable to yourself. Put things down to say, okay, what have I done differently? What have I done differently on this job? Have I made anyone's lives easy? And just take note of those things, because it will help you in building your right CV. Now, after that, after you're using active language, make use of data. Now, what does this mean? In your use of data, you're supposed to highlight in detail how you've helped the company or your team go from point A to B. Now, what this equally shows is it buttresses the fact that you're an accountable person. It helps people know that, okay, you track your progress. It's not just a case of you don't just coast along in the company or just do things for doing things sake. It shows that you do a lot of things, and please pardon me, I just got a notice. Yeah, it shows that you take lots of data into account. Now, what this equally does for you is it shows the amount of effort you put into doing a thing. That way, you are accountable. You are a lot more detailed when handling your tasks. And of course, these are the features that people who are recruiting would want, especially with someone on their team. It's like knowing that you help people move from here to here, beyond just being helpful. You also take into account the progress that you are making. And so once you've done that, don't worry, at the end of this, I will show you a sample CV that I helped revamp a while back. I think this one was even that of a developer. Now, in the case whereby you're not someone who handles numbers, or you're not someone who handles, you don't handle numbers, or you're a developer in this case, it's important to show that whatever it is you did helped the business objectives, or it helped achieve certain business goals, because that's the whole essence of getting or employing someone to join the team. It's primarily to help reach their business goals. So how are you a person of value to help the organization reach their goals? Think of it. So take for example, even before you apply to any organization, think of yourself as an individual, and also think of yourself as a company, and then look at yourself outside yourself as the individual who's trying to employ you into your company. What are the goals you're trying to achieve as a company? And then look at yourself and the values and the skills that you have. Do you have the relevant skills that will help the business move from point A to B? If you do or you do not, if you do, then you should document it rightly by using active language, by using data. If you do not, that's where you have to go back and do the work. Because the actual truth is, whatever it is you need, you have within you. All you just need to do is get the help that's needed. Now, there are a plethora of resources online that can help you get whatever it is you want. If you need to gain certain skills, go ahead, take the free classes available online, find free resources. There's an entire university on YouTube that can help you learn anything you want to. Learn it, then try to implement those lessons. Now, in the case whereby you don't have appropriate experience, you can either volunteer or look for internships. Now, if you don't want to take that route, you can also start personal projects on your own and implement those lessons you've learned. This is one of my favorite, because for me, it's like you are learning, but you're also learning at your own pace. You're implementing the lessons that you want as you go. Now that you have used active language, you have used data to back up whatever it is you want to, now ensure that your CV is aesthetically pleasing to look at. To be honest, looking at CVs can be quite the chore, especially for people who are recruiting in small sizes. Oh, before I even get to the aesthetically pleasing side, when you're applying for a certain role, sure that you use the keywords highlighted in that job role. Now, here's what I mean. You don't want to come across as a liar. So if you are applying to a certain role and you have occupied, if you're applying to a certain role, for example, they're recruiting for a social media marketer, and in times past, you've been a content writer or a copywriter, and you've also posted it on social media. It's important. Yes, you might not have been the social media marketer at the time, but you can also share those keywords, letting them know that, oh, you've had like subtle experience handling those things in the description. So that in the case whereby there are systems set up to, screen through the CVs or the applications and the keyword is set, yours can stand the chance and they can actually pick it up, right? Or in subsequent cases whereby people are, if they're recruiting in smaller sizes, the HR personnel may be able to go through the CVs one after the other. But in cases whereby they're recruiting in like large sums, they might not be able to fish out the applications individually. So it's highly important that you highlight the keywords that are used, especially in the advertisement of the role. Now, be sure that you are aptly representing your experience, even in the title or in the job description as you solely fit it in. And then lastly, ensure that you use an aesthetically pleasing format or template when presenting your CV. Now, as I initially reiterated, CVs, documents can be a chore to look at. And so one of the things that you want to do is place yourself in that position where you have an edge. How do you get an edge? It's important that you go online and source for templates that are pleasing and would make your details look important. Now, there are certain practices that I like to preach to people not to include. There are certain details that I teach people not to put in their CVs. Take, for example, if there's a job position whereby the person is biased with regards to age, I will not advise you to put your date of birth there. In that position, you are kicking yourself in the foot. You're getting yourself out of the position before you even get in. So it's basically you shooting yourself in the leg. Do not put your date of birth until you are asked to. Again, if I use myself as an example, when I was to get the current role I was taking on, my age is not on, my date of birth is not on my CV. During the recruitment process, by that time they have made you the offer, they will then ask you for documentation to ascertain that the age you currently are is true. And so, which is why, again, I reiterate, do not lie, because you don't want any contradictory information on your CV as opposed to what your documentations or your formal official documents say. Now, also, I preach to people not to put their pictures on their CV. Again, it could work. Now, the reason for this is it could work for or against you. Here's why. So take, for example, in times past, you've done something to a person. Now, to be honest, you did not set out to be rude to this person or anything, but because of the situation, you happen to be rude to the person. And this person now is now the person recruiting in the place that you want to get into, right? Now, because you have put your picture on the CV, that already kicks you in the foot, because who knows, if you had not put your picture, maybe the person might not even be involved in the initial screening. Maybe he would get to the, I don't know, whatever position you might have gotten to, or the person might not even actively be involved, but because you have put your picture there already, it's definitely would ruin things. And so again, like I said, it could work for you. Who knows, you might put your picture on your CV and a relative who you did not know works in the organization would see it and be like, oh yes, I know that person, please let the person come in, who happens to be in the HR team, right? And so that is the position whereby it might work for or against you. Now, in subsequent, for subsequent points that I'm trying to raise, I will, at this point, I think, can I share my screen? Okay, I don't think she's here, but okay, great. So I will share my screen and then I will show you places where you can easily get. Okay. Places where you can easily get templates. Now, one of such places is your Microsoft, right? Your Microsoft Word, they have CV templates. And what's even better is Microsoft has done something really interesting. They have integrated LinkedIn into your Microsoft, so much so that when you are looking to set up your CV in a certain way and you have a certain keyword, they would show you copies of CVs that you can adopt in building yours. Now, let me just look for templates. CV templates. Fantastic. Okay. This is where I will share my screen. Okay. The host has to allow me to share screen because I just tried to and it did not let me. Okay, pending the time that I'm allowed to share my screen, if you just simply put in CV templates on your Microsoft Word, you would find a plethora of templates that you can adopt. They're even customizable, so you can shift certain details here and there and just make it look as good as you want it to. Now, this is one source. Google Documents. Now, these are sources that you can easily find anywhere that are free as well. Now, Google Docs themselves have their own templates that are free also. If you go there and just check for, underneath the templates part, check for resume, you would find a good number of templates under their templates gallery. Check for resume, there's a huge number of them there. There's resume, there's personal, there's letters, there's work. You know, all of these templates are customizable as to however it is you want it to look. And so there's that. There's also visual CV. Visual CV allows you to customize they have the freemium version and they also have the paid version where you can adjust a CV however it is you want. There's so many other free CV templates that you can find online, to build your CV in however it is you want. There's Indeed. Indeed is such a great resource because there you can find CV templates, you can find actual CV examples for different roles and how you can use certain words in representing them. Pending the time again that I'm able to share pending the time I'm able to share my screen, let's just move over to cover letters. But before we get to cover letters, do you have any questions with regards to CV? You can type them in the chat box and I'll respond. Okay. While we're waiting for that to happen, cover letters. Now, usually I tell people this a lot, that cover letters are, so when you think of it this way, if CV is you getting your foot in the door, a cover letter is like a handshake, right? It is you doing a proper introduction of yourself professionally and as to why they should indulge you in that conversation. Oh, great. Thank you, Judith. And so it is basically you telling the employer why they should indulge in your conversation. And so one of the things I like to tell people, especially with CVs, is one of the best ways, especially with cover letters, is one of the best ways to woo your employer is through your cover letter. Now, usually cover letters, people make them look so banal and just very ordinary. But if you get very creative with your cover letter, you do not only get an interview, you get a conversation out of your prospective employer. That way, your employer is even looking forward to meeting you because they realize that with your cover letter, you have done your research, you have put in the work in crafting such a very good cover letter. Now, here's one of the things I tell people to do a lot. Before you write your cover letter, do your research on the company you're applying for. Look at what milestones they've reached. Look at, did they get recent funding? Did they hit any recent milestone? Is there any achievements that they have just made? Is there something worth celebrating? Is it a product that they've built that has helped people exponentially? Has it helped you exponentially? Look for something catchy that they have done in the past and find a way to inculcate it in your letter. So that way, you're not just writing, oh, kindly find attached my CV for your perusal or something of that nature. No, this time around, you're starting out letting them know, oh, hey, this is what I realize you guys have done. I think that the work you're doing is incredible. And because of that, it really has spurred me. And because it aligns with my values, it really has spurred me to want to join your team. Let me help you 10x what you guys are currently doing. Now with the way I have already presented this, does it sound like something, if you had read this, I promise you, I bet you'd want to have a conversation with me moving forward. It would not just sound as though, oh, I am just saying things for saying sake. It shows that, yes, I have done my work. I have done a bit of research to show that, okay, I am interested in this company and I am aptly representing that in my cover letter. And so let's see. I think I have samples of the personal cover letters I have written in times past where I applied to jobs. And let me see if I can share them with you. I think there was this one I did with for Dev. I eventually did not take the job when they offered it to me, but I got a reply from the CEO first before he now linked me up with the HR team. So yes, let's see. I will just share this now. Good. Can you see my screen? Okay. I'm guessing that's a yes. Okay, so this was one of the cover letters I wrote at the time when I was applying for the role of, I think it was communications associates at an organization called Tech for Dev. It's a non-governmental organization. So I said here, dear Mr. Joel, I hope my congratulations are in order as regards the success of your program, Women Textile Program, being selected as one of the 10 solutions showcased at the UN Solutions Summit this year. The work the Tech for Dev team is doing is commendable. One can't help but admire and applaud the effort put towards leveraging technology in creating decent work. It is based on this premise that I indicate interest in the role of a communications associate. Now, this first paragraph already tells you that I have done my research. It shows that yes, I went and I searched online for the latest achievements and realized that they actually have a program called Women Textile Program, where it's a programming, it's a program that encourages women to take on technological skills. Now, they also went on to showcase this program at this summit. And so I highlighted it. And beyond just that, I also connected what they were doing with an SDG, a sustainable development goal. And then based on that premise, I indicated my interests. And then I went on to share the qualities that I have that I like to believe will be great for them. I said, for a role as this, you need one who crafts great sentences, is articulate, has a good command of the language, pays attention to details, is social media savvy, and can adapt to new environments. I am a good fit with these qualities and more. My varied experience and skills in the edutech space, broadband infrastructure, and now e-transport will certainly be an asset to your firm. Now here, I succinctly capture my experiences and skills and how relevant it will be to the organization. And then I also put in details of myself here on how they can reach me, and then letting them know that my CV is equally attached to the document, which is here, right? And so this, I promise you, I got a response from the CEO. You can see he said, "Dear Sonia, thank you for your kind words, for reaching out. We also would love to have a conversation with you around the communications associate role, you know." Then he now put someone in copy to take up the conversation from where he left it off. But here's what I'm basically trying to say all through, right? With your cover letter, ensure that you do your research. Because what this does for you, especially with unique organizations, maybe they're hiring in some organizations, even when they're doing mass hiring, for some roles that are experienced hire, they're very thorough with it. So they want to know in detail who this person they are trying to bring on board is. And so you want to show that you're not just being lazy about the application. You know this organization, you know how much work they have done so far, you know where they're headed to. It'll be great if some of yours align with theirs, so much so that it's not just a give relationship, but it's a give and take. You both will grow substantially on that relationship. And so if you write this, if you put your personal touch to it without it looking like something that you copied from Google and pasted on the body of your email, I promise you, you would get like a conversation. For every single cover letter that I have written, that I have done my research and written, you know, in an endearing manner, I have always gotten a callback. I may not have taken the role, but I have always gotten a callback. Now, I think the final way to round this up is also to reiterate that your cover letter, because the name is cover letter, your cover letter does not necessarily need to come as an attachment to your application. No, you're in the letter, like I mentioned earlier, is the introduction. Your cover letter is where you heard about the job and the application and why you're applying for the role. then your CV in itself now shows them your previous experiences and how relevant it would be to making stuff what I'm saying. I think this is where I'll wrap it up. So one of the best ways to craft your CVs, to be honest, there are lots of templates online that you can use that you can copy and paste basically. But I promise you that for every CV you bring your personal touch to, for every CV that you use your active language in crafting, you back it up with data, you ensure that your format or the template you use is aesthetically pleasing, you will get a call back because you have put in the work in crafting it out. It doesn't look like something that was copied online or something that a template that you just copied online and edited. No, it's something that you actually put in the work into crafting, because guess what? Like I mentioned earlier, your CV is a representation of yourself to your employer, and it is your argument, it is your way of selling yourself. Why are you a good fit for the role? If you're not able to put in as much work into your CV, why then will they trust you with the job position? If you're not able to even do the bare minimum research with regards to the job role or the company, then why would they trust you with such a role? So job search might be exhausting, but it is, when done right, I promise you will not have to do it for long, especially when it is targeted right, when the CV is worded right, when your cover letter is not basic. It will be done right. I think this is where I'll wrap it up. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. If you have questions, I'm open to taking them now. Judith, I can barely hear you.
Oh, okay.
It's breaking a lot, but I can try.
Yeah, no. No.
Yes, just go ahead.
Because I want to share all the time. I'm sure we've all benefits for enacting on how to craft it. And
Hi, Judith.
did you hear me? Anyway.
Please again. Now it's better.
It's better now.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so I was saying that since we don't have any questions for you, ma'am, so
Okay.
I'm really sure that we've all been enlightened and been able to know how to craft a benefiting CV letter, CV and the cover letter.
All right. I'm glad you took something out of the class. Thank you
So I
very
want to
much.
thank you so much, Ms. Chinwe. I'm really happy. Thank you so much. You're welcome.
All right then. Do enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here.